Welcome to this edition of the Great American Whiskey Cookers. We are here in Swisher, Iowa at Cedar Ridge Distillery, and I'm sitting with Murphy Quint and Megan Patz, and we're tasting through a number of expressions that they have. They have a whole bunch, and you really should try them if you haven't already done so. But what's sitting in front of me right now is this port barrel finish.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's our port cask bourbon.
Okay, so talk to me about this, because this is interesting.
Yeah, and I think for pretty much everyone at Cedar Ridge, myself very much included, this is kind of a special one that we have because it ties together two major parts of our business that sometimes can kind of feel like they're going in separate directions. It's very complicated when you're a winery distillery combination. So anytime we have the opportunity to kind of marry those two departments back together with one product, it's always something special. So this is our own bourbon, 74% corn, 14 rye, 12% malted barley. But it is then finished after its primary aging process is finished in our own port wine casks. So we make an American-style port.
And it's your port wine that it's finished in. You're not sourcing it from somewhere else, right?
No, and don't get me wrong, for other products, we definitely do bring in port casks from, say, Portugal, things like that. But we also make our own American-style port. Our winemaker's a guy named Tim Hayfel, and our vineyard manager / former winemaker is Kent Falker. So they've both kind of had a hand in our American port production. And it's been really fun to age our bourbon, or finish it rather, in the casks that they utilize for that process.
Right. And so the crossover from the distillery to the winery, I mean, Megan, how do you do that?
I mean, that's something that we try to answer all the time. It is very much speaking to usually two different audiences, but this is one that even when you bring it to tastings, you bring it out with friends, it truly complements both, like anybody's palate. You get that fruit forward on the wine, but you also get the bourbon coming through really strongly. And it really is one of our most popular annual releases because it's so applicable to kind of any drinker.
And you say an annual release, so it only comes out once a year?
It only comes out once a year. This is one that we actually usually make a little bit more of, so it might stay around a little bit longer. But it is really a fan favorite.
And is it easy for wine drinkers to get into this?
I would say so, yes, because it's a good transition. You can drink it by itself, but it's also fantastic in cocktails. So that bourbon comes through so well in a cocktail that really does, answer to anybody who's looking for, whether it be a wine drinker or a cocktail specialist, kind of what they're looking for.
Yeah. Let's try it. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this.
And it's a fun one. We also have kind of an inverted offering of this. We also make a red wine aged in bourbon barrels. So for any of the wine drinkers out there, these two products will be the ones that you want to start with.
Yeah.
A red wine aged in bourbon barrels.
You got it finished in bourbon barrels, however you want to say it. It's kind of becoming one and the same at this point. But like I said, we try to do as many crossovers as possible because it brings our whole operation together, from production to marketing to sales to everything. It kind of gets everyone rallying around one product.
Yeah.
Sure is neat.
And really, it's sometimes some of our most successful products is when we bring in both sides of our business together.
Yeah. The port really shines on this.
It really has that fruitiness on the nose. This is one of my favorites.
Oh man. Yeah, it's got that dark red fruit, that crushed fruit.
Mm-hmm. But it's not overly sweet. It's still very much bourbon, and it still drinks very well. It's just that fruit forward.
Yeah, that bourbon comes from me on the end there, on the backside.
It starts to shine there. So Megan makes a really good point that it's not overly sweet. It stays true to what a bourbon is.
And that's something true.
And that's something that we're very careful about. Anytime we do any sort of a cask finish, whether it's bourbon, rye, single malt, we still want it to stay true to what that type of spirit is, but we want it to have unique elements from that cask. So this is bourbon finished in port casks. You can definitely pick up on those wine elements, but it stays true to what a bourbon should be.
Yeah, and it's got that, the port, it's got kind of that heaviness.
Yep.
Yeah.
That you would get out of a port.
For sure. And one of the best things to do is, if you're anywhere in the area, is to come visit. You can try the port cask bourbon next to the actual port and see how much it actually influences.
It's a good call. Very cool. Well, this is awesome. And a little side note for you, sitting at home, I actually have a bottle from one of the original ports.
Really?
That you guys put out. I forgot to bring it. I was going to bring it with me today. I was going to open it up because it's probably, 10, 15 years old. And I would say, for the people that have been following Cedar Ridge for a long time, the real Cedar Ridge heads,
our American style port, that's kind of like, it has a cult following. That's kind of everyone's baby. If you've been following us for 10 plus years, you usually like our port wine.
Right. So they can find you at cedarridgedistillery.com.
Yep.
Right. And on the socials?
Yep, you can find us at Cedar Ridge, Iowa. Instagram specifically is where we have a lot of our updates and new releases.
Okay. And if they want to get in touch with you, Murphy?
At Murphy Quint on Instagram.
Fantastic. I'm Jeff for the Great American Whiskey Cookers. Until next time, can't be good at it. See ya.
Fun fact, this is I didn't know until right now, but batch 22 is my favorite. It's really nice.
Yeah, this is delicious.
It has it's really well balanced, has the perfect amount of influence without being like over ported.